Andy, this first question is for you.
Yes.
So your work is primarily focused on horror and comedy. So kind of talk to me about what attracted you to this particular story. It's a sports drama, coming of age story. Kind of talk about what attracted you.
Well, I love both those genres in general. Like, I love sports movies. I grew up in a small town, and that's kind of what we did, is play sports. I was never very good, but but I loved them. And my brother's a very good basketball player and stuff like that. So Todd had mentioned this movie before, kind of in the ethos, and I didn't think that was, something they'd circle around to me, but eventually it came to me, and they were like, would you be interested? And I said, yeah, of course, I'm definitely interested. And then that snowballed into, well, who do we get to play Lexi? And I was like, how about Jaime Pressly? We just had her in a movie, and it was awesome. And then I emailed Jamie, and I think she read it in a day.
I read it that night, yeah.
And then she came back the next day, and she sent me an email, and I'm going to swear on the camera and everything. Her email quoted said, fucking love it, I'm in. And that was it. We just kept going.
And what made you want to join the project as a producer as well, as not only an actor, but to come on as a producer?
Because I love the story, because I love these guys and I've worked with them before, and because I thought it was the perfect project the first project. It's literally the first project that my company's produced. I only started it during the strike, and we had so many things in development that I wanted to go ahead and get something, out there, and being able to work with them and produce, our first film with them was, it's a no-brainer.
I love it. I love it. So Jamie, this next question is for you. During the film, we see Lexi kind of grapple with accepting her role as a mother, but then we see a shift in her character when Caden is taken to the hospital. So I just want you to talk a little bit about how grief and traumatic experiences can how they can kind of lead you on the path to doing the right thing and kind of, stepping up and taking accountability.
Lexi just didn't know how to be a mom because she didn't have great parents, right? And so it was a difficult thing for her to ever grasp in general, which is why I think she left. But the excuse she used was she had to go take her over her father's company, right? And I think it does sometimes take traumatic experiences for us to realize what's important, what's more important. And for her, she was so busy still trying to impress her father, who had been dead for 10 years. It took that traumatic experience for her to realize that what was really important was right in front of her son.
Now, Andy, I noticed that the film, it does the way the film opens and the way it ends, Caden's father, Michael Rapaport's character, the film opens with his parent, supporting him at his game. And then it also ends with Lexi supporting him at his game.
Yeah.
Kind of just talk a little bit about that. What was the intention behind that?
Yeah, so the challenge the biggest challenge I had in terms of like when I read the script and stuff like that, loved the characters, loved the challenge presented. But the thing that was hard to kind of square for me was this idea that here's this kid he's living with his dad, who's a struggling single parent, and he's going to probably like an overcrowded public school. And even though his dad has this sort of demon that he's trying to like he's grappling with, they have an incredibly close relationship. It's a very sort of healthy father and son relationship. And then he gets kind of thrust into this thing on the surface that looks like he kind of hit the lottery. He goes and moves in this big mansion, and he goes to this private school, and he joins this new team. And it's like, how does he grapple with the sort of grief and the trauma that he's going with, if on the surface it looks like, wow, his situation is maybe better. So what we try to do visually is just create space. So at the beginning, his father and him are incredibly close. They sit next to each other. He falls asleep in his dad's arms watching the movie. And when you see him and Lexi at first, their distance couldn't be further away. Lexi doesn't pick him up at the airport. The first time they're having dinner, they're sitting this big long table away. But as the movie goes on, they get closer and they get closer and they get closer. And so I wanted that last image to be a mirror of what he experienced at the beginning. That the simplest gesture of just showing up for your kid and being there is really all he needs, And so like all those things, the peripheral money and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't mean anything if no one shows up for you. And so mom shows up at the end, and that's how she says, I love you,
Or it's like Johnny's line, what does all this mean? What is all this good for if you have nobody to share it with?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is kind of a fun question, Jamie. In the film, we see Caden and Lexi kind of bond over music. specifically cowboy hip hop. So I'm curious, is there a song that you think that would be on both Lexi and Caden's Spotify playlist?
Who sings is it Snoop or Dre? But it's the country version of it.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, it's so good. Oh.
You wanna hum it, or I don't know?
I'm drawing a complete blank, but it's like an old school, like, it's like gin and juice or something, but it's a country music singer.
Oh, nice.
It's awesome. I can't think
Willie
of
Nelson?
the
Or
Huh?
Willie Nelson? Or?
Girl, who you talking about? Willie Nelson?
I don't know.
No, like a new, like a relevant
Okay.
guy. I can't think right now.
When we first started, Jamie and I first started talking, I sent her like a ton of Shabuzi stuff because I love.
Oh yeah, we do
that
love
whole
Shabuzi.
when we like went to that Nashville place, like that was the sound in my head as I was like, oh yeah, this will be cool. We're merging these two worlds together. and
That's a
stuff
good
like
call.
that.
Probably.
So I
Shabuzi.
think they'd have Shabuzi playing.
That's a good call.
I like that. I love Shabuzi.
He's so great.
And then this question is for both of you guys. The film does deal with, heavy subject matter. And so I'm just curious, like, how did you balance the heaviness of the film in between takes? Like, kind of what was the atmosphere like when the cameras weren't rolling?
Well, I'll tell you this: when you're doing a really emotional scene like the one I had to do in the hospital, it's not one take. It's different shots from all over, and we started before lunch, and then we had to break for lunch, and I had to stay in that headspace, and then come back after lunch and cry for 6 more hours because you have to get everybody's angles right. And so, one of the things is like between takes on something like that, crew members don't always think about it unless the director says. And so I called Andy in and I was like, hey, can you ask, or Kelly, my producing partner, actually went and said,
Yeah.
can you please have everybody keep it down, quiet, because, you're there, everybody's working, they're having fun, and in between takes, they're moving things around, and it's loud, and I would have to run into my room and just like sit there and put my earpods on and listen to the saddest music possible, and like to stay in it,
Yeah.
So in that situation, it's a little more difficult. But when it comes to the other scenes, especially basketball scenes, I mean, because a lot of the scenes that I had were very heavy. So,
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Very emotionally charged.
Yeah, and one of the things, Dylan, I was very hard on him. Is he in here? No.
No.
I was really hard on him, but we started in the beginning, like when they came and they to my house before the film, we rehearsed and stuff, and I just asked permission, like, are you cool if I try to get you to the place you need to get to by saying things that are gonna like be really harsh? And he was like, yeah, with this smile on his face, and I'm like, this boy, he's got a great life, great parents, great everything. So, and he's new, and so it's hard when you've never had any kind of trauma in your life, really, like true trauma, to find that place as an actor, right? And so they were all very cool, and as well as Andy, and so a lot of the takes, like we would stand there and I would be yelling at him off camera to get him where he needs to be, but he killed it, he did it. But then I would also like want to love him, and like, because like it was harsh,
Dylan went to acting school on this movie. I mean, it was like between Jamie and Michael and Johnny and everybody, he was like, you can like, we shoot the movie all out of order, but I can watch the movie and I know exactly where we were in the production based on how seasoned Dylan got, and like how clearly he starts making choices as an actor, like on his own, without me prompting him to say, hey, maybe you do this in this take and stuff like that. He just starts making decisions, and it's like, it's pretty incredible.
I went to rap. It was a scene where they're at the basketball scene, right? And I went up to rap because he's like yelling at him in the scene, but Dylan always has this cute little smile on his face. And so I went up without telling Dylan. I went up to Mike and I was like, listen, I have to yell at him off camera, and really, you got to get him there. He's got to wipe that smirk off his face. He's like, I got you. And he's got 2 boys and I've got 3 boys, so like we get, anyway. So then they do the next take, and I don't even tell Andy. And they do the next take, and Dylan's got that cute little smile on his face, and he goes, what the fuck are you smiling for? Wipe that smirk off your face or whatever. And Dylan was like, what? he did not expect. He expects it from me, but he did not expect. But it's such a good. It worked.
Yeah, it just totally worked.
It was great.
We did it to Jamie though once. Dylan and I did it to Jamie once too. There's a scene where they're having dinner, and I was like, "Tell her you want to be excused," and that wasn't like in the script.
Yeah, that wasn't in the script.
And like that look on her face is like very genuine because she didn't expect that.
But see, I love things like that's what makes things just it's real.
It gets you real,
Yeah.
It's interesting to know that that part wasn't scripted. It did feel very authentic.
I think we all come from comedy, but
Yeah.
comedy lives in darkness a lot too. But
Great comedy comes from real life drama.
Yeah. But the tools of like improv and all those things can still translate over to drama. I
Yeah.
just had to learn like I'm like the peacekeeper guy. I don't want anybody to be upset ever. I want everybody to be happy.
Right.
And so in a drama, for me just to shut the F up and let the actors be in that moment, that was probably the hardest thing for me. Because I don't want to see anybody upset, but like they have to be in this mode, you know?
Right.
So I just had to learn to shut up, stay behind the monitor a little bit more.
So you all filmed in Nashville.
Sort of.
Yeah. It was
A lovely weekend in Nashville. But so we had intended to shoot in Nashville. That was the plan. And then we reached out to the film commission in Nashville, and they said, Nashville 911 Nashville is shooting here. All the crews sucked up. All the tax incentive is sucked up. Don't come to Nashville right now. And we were like, okay. And so we had shot in Alabama.
also the tax incentive is very different than the one in Birmingham.
Yeah. So we had shot a couple movies in Birmingham. It's only 4 hours away. And Birmingham is an incredibly versatile.
It
can
could
double
look like
as
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It was great.
So we shot primarily in Birmingham, and then on one weekend, the 4 or 5 of us jumped in a van and went to Nashville and shot all the
exteriors.
B-roll stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What did you guys learn about the Nashville elite youth basketball scene? Like even in my research, I couldn't find too much. So I'm curious, like,
So much of the research came from Todd, because this is a true story from Todd. So the basketball stuff really came from Todd, but his oldest son Chase does these club games. And so Todd brought me down to what used to be Mamba Academy, which is now Sports Academy, down in LA. And we sat for a weekend and just watched these tournaments and like how everybody interacts and how the games go and how the parents act and the referees and all this kind of stuff. Because I grew up in a small
so
town.
serious.
Yeah. And I just grew up in like school sports and didn't, I was like, it's like school sports. He's like, no, this is its own world where these players, some of these teams are YouTube teams, and they come out and everybody's filming them and they pretend to get in fights with the other team to get clicks and all these and it was like this whole world sort of opened up. But that was Todd really drawing from the club basketball scene in Los Angeles. And then you get to either Nashville or you get to Alabama, all the same. All the teams are all the same. It bleeds over in any sort of club environment.
interesting.
Yeah. All the kids, except for our kids, they all played, these summer leagues. We went to this place called Alabama Hoops, and we were like, we have all these games and we need these players. And the coach Newt, who runs the Alabama Hoops, was like, no problem. And then within a week, we had, 8, 9, 10 teams of kids that were ready to come be in a basketball movie. And they were amazing.
Right.
There were so many times I had to pull these other teams aside and be like, these guys are actors and they can play basketball, but they're not basketball players.
Yeah, because they were getting dunked
They're
on.
getting
Calm it down.
And it was like, I had to be like, you look good if you make them look good. And
Right.
so they had to kind of learn to be able to make our actors look amazing. And I was like, that's the win. It's not you going and just crushing our poor actors.
That was so sad.
Yeah. And all our actors could play basketball, but they're not
But they're not.
365 in it like these other kids are.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank
thanks
you.
for having
It was
us.
so nice to meet you.